this is the cost of getting well. Everybody wants to like heal and work on like personal development and get to a different level, and yes, we should definitely aspire and strive to that. However, the downside is, as we do that, we're going to realize how many people haven't done that, and it's going to be a little bit lonely until we get to a place where we find others who have made that transition themselves. And it'll be worth it because then you're with people who've done the work and are largely healthy and accountable and able to communicate, like, hey, I'm sorry, I was having a thing, I do this, how do we fix it, how do we get forward? You know, like, if somebody comes off track, they're aware, they know they did that, and they're like, I'm sorry, I was like that, how do we fix it? And you fix it, and you get forward, and you have these really strong, healthy relationships that can weather challenges like that and can continue to grow, and you have company as you continue to grow because you're with growth-minded people, and the quality of that is worth going through what is basically growing pains. I think people call it the lonely chapter, and it is a little lonely because you're like, oh, okay, and it's also a little baffling because you're like, is this just the default setting for humans? Are we all kind of a little bit batshit until we like make a more concerted effort to work that stuff out? Like, yeah, we all got lumps to work out, and you got to keep mixing it until that runs smooth, basically, because yeah, we all have stuff, and when you start to heal it, you're going to find out how much stuff most people are carrying, and you're going to feel a little alienated by it. You're going to be like, oh, I'm doing right, but you're all still crazy, right? And like, nobody's really crazy, but we're all a little off kilter, and it's evident as you kind of right your own ship how much other people have not begun that work or gotten to a level where it's compatible with the level you're at. And I don't know, I feel for that. I feel for why people might be reluctant. And I mean, we have enough inertia pulling us back into our own ruts, and then we have the people around us like sort of playing out the old scripts with us, and we have to be like, no, I'm not reading from that script, I'm sorry, I got like a whole new map, that doesn't fit, it's not gonna work. And then it is challenging because I'm not really like, I'm not self-actualized, I have no like high level of mastery with this, so when it comes up for me, I'm kind of like, I gotta be the bigger person and deal with this. I gotta hitch up my big girl panties and like truck through this because I'm the only person on site who can do it. If the other people haven't gotten there, there's sort of a weird responsibility, and it sucks because you're still kind of hobbled. You're still trying to learn to walk again, and then somebody's tripping you, and you have a reflex to be like, God damn it! Like, why are you messing with me? They're not. They're in their own mess, and you walked into the like, it's like the Peanuts, that character Pigpen, who always had that like radius of like flies and filth and everything like coming off of him wherever he went. That's like, we have that emotionally and socially. We have this like detritus cloud, like, and sometimes we walk into other people's clouds and we have to be like, okay, no flies for me, thank you. And be able to step back and stay in our own, like, I don't want to call it sanitized bubble, but where we've cleared out our own crap and go back into our own little space and like hold that space for ourselves, and then come back in and be like, look, you're not trying to get me with your cloud of crazy, it's just you have one and I walked into it, and I have to know enough that I have the clarity to step back and come in again with renewed clarity to handle what's there. And it's frustrating, and you want to be like, fuck this, I'm gonna sink to that level too and I'll just be awful too. No, because that ends up costing so much for like any gain. Do you get any gain from that short-term sense of, I don't know, I got my tat for the tit? It's a weird way of saying it, but you know, it's like this tit for tat thing, and you're like, oh well, I'm gonna get my tat. Like, okay, and then what are you gonna do with that? Right? Like, there's nothing to be done with that. It's too silly. So yeah, I'm thinking about how there are many impediments to working out our stuff and being responsible and trying to level up in terms of how we operate within ourselves and with others. And sometimes it's going to be challenging, and it has to be understood that that's part of the process. It's not going off the rails. You're not getting it wrong. You're not failing. You got to push through the headwinds sometimes. And yeah, I had some headwinds today, so it has me thinking about how instead of being frustrated and irritated with others, I just have to remember that I was able this time this time I was able to keep my little bubble of clarity and back up and come in again and handle it, and everybody won. There was an actual benefit for that effort, and there was a reduction in cost for what would have happened if I'd gone back to default, like factory defaults, right? Like, we don't want factory settings. We want these good programs we've been building to be carrying us through these moments. And even if I had failed, it's important to remember that I am still a work in progress, and sometimes the forces are going to be greater than I, and I may succumb to it, and I may suck at this. I may end up like kicking off my own cloud of like dirt and flies and whatever, and then you bring that together and it's just a proper shitstorm. And yeah, that's where you end up, and that's what you get. You get the results of that. And that's punishment enough. There's no reason to reproach oneself beyond saying, that wasn't a very good showing. We will do better next time. How will we do better next time? Focus on what's going to enable us to like go forward. So when I fall off, I'm like, okay, what do you need to do next time? For example, one time I lost my cool. I realized I'd been very hungry for a while. Don't go into delicate situations on the brink of hangry. That's foolish. Make sure you're fed. This is page 1. Make sure your physiology is in order and able to support you, because your body's going to override all your better intentions and efforts. If you're hungry, it's going to be like, I don't care, where's the food? Screw these people, where's the food? Like, it's only concerned with calories at that point, and you're not going to be successful. And I made that mistake in the past, that I walked in hungry, and I almost did it again today. I happily travel with, you know, like fiber bars and protein bars and stuff like that, that when I feel the physiological deficit getting the best of my better judgment and better self, it's time to go eat something. So I learned from the time I failed, this is time to take care of physiology. Go eat, drink some water, breathe, go again. And that was what carried me through today. So this success is to the credit of a former failure. And based on that template, I like to remember that even if I'd failed today, I would have learned something from it. I would have said, where did you go off the rails, and how do you make sure you stay on track next time? So it's either a success or a learning experience. And I have to acknowledge that, no, I didn't do well that day I went into a thing hangry. But I also didn't come away empty-handed, and that I could apply it today means that it was a worthy experience. It was a worthwhile experience, and that I'm happy I can say today I was able to apply it and succeed and stay in my own element and not let the state of others disrupt my own state. But also to say, if it had, the process then is to say, okay, what did we learn? How do we do better next time? And to get on with it and get forward. Don't waste time. We only get so much. And I think that I spend a certain amount of my precious time doing this because really reflecting and formulating this, having to put it into words, is so helpful for me to really, pardon, it's tree pollen season. My nose is a little special right now. Oh my, there goes the fox. What does the fox say? Nothing, he's just scurrying. Anyhow, it's helpful for me to take the time, what little time we have on earth, to put this into words and to remind myself and maybe be able to share this with others, that this is a process. And if we continue to get up again and again and follow through with the process, because it does require a certain amount of frustration tolerance. We do have to be able to raise our threshold. This is also why I talk about zooming out, because when we do that, we create space and we can see it in the way that you'll say, oh, well, in the heat of the moment. In the heat of the moment, you don't have that distance, you don't have that perspective, that later you could be like, yeah, I shouldn't have said that, done that, reacted this way, whatever. You can see it clearly when you've gotten distance from it and the emotions aren't running so high. But when the emotions start running high, you can install that space and get that perspective and say, this isn't what matters. That's a good one. I'm like, does this matter? No, this doesn't really matter. Nothing that was fodder for fighting, right? We were like about to get into an argument, and I said, this is not, I'm not going to die on that hill. This isn't important. This isn't going to yield anything. This isn't worth it. Let me stay and practice these skills. This is an opportunity to practice my skills, and we'll see where I'm at. It's a diagnostic. I get to check in and be like, oh, okay, I've elevated my skill level to this point under these conditions based on these prior experiences and failures. This one I get to chalk up as a success. The next failure becomes the basis for the next effort to apply the lessons learned and to do better. And understanding that it's a long-term thing, and it's going to be at times successful, and at times we're going to fall flat on our face and maybe have to pay for it in ways we'd rather not. Pay the price, do the math, get forward, go again, convert it to a victory, and know that you're going to do so many cycles of these before you really get to a place where you approach these moments and can just laugh. Just be like, okay. That's when I know I've got a good grip on something, when crazy stuff happens and I'm like, okay. That's how I can check that one and be like, I think we've got that down. But there are times when it's not okay. I'm like, no, not okay. Definitely not okay. Like, okay, how do we change that? How do we do with that? And this is why I talk about, being agentic and really applying a sense of what can I be responsible for here, and what actions can I take to benefit all concerned. Because if I'd lost my grip, everyone would have paid for it. It would have been me and whoever I'm having contention with, and whoever has to deal with any kind of fallout from that, or manage it and everybody gets on with their life mostly pain-free. And I was even able to resolve things and end with everything tied up nicely, neat in a bow, and feel good about it. So yeah, I'm just trying to do a little after action review here and say these steps will get us to the places we want if we follow them and persist and learn from the times we fall down and step with an awareness of that going forward. So all right, that's my piece on that, and I hope I didn't just jinx myself and watch tomorrow I have a meltdown. No, because this is about conditioning the responses over time, and it becomes a reflex. This is like an athlete training at their sport and really getting to where they're not even conscious of it anymore. It just becomes reflexive, and you gotta put in the reps, right? So there it is, another round of reps down, and hoping to get stronger as I go. All right, till the next round.